Damn.
I have my championship game still intact.
I only have Kansas in the final four.
Nova over Duke.
I
just picked the two teams I hate the most because I assumed.
Nick's used to the Commanders, so everything from now on is just picking whoever he hates. He's like,
this is like how I've always operated.
You're like PJ, dude. He's like, whatever the worst thing that could ever happen to me will happen to me. That's what's gonna happen. Carson Wentz, yeah, that's happening. Welcome to another episode of Boom or Bust, the draft show. Max Chadwick alongside Nick Merriam and Donny Clemons, continuing our positional ranking series, the top 10 interior offensive linemen in the 2022 NFL draft, the one I know you've all been waiting for, our top 10 guards and centers. Let's go, baby. That's what you come here for.
Viking Skull, this video is for you, baby.
Viking Skull, you better get out a notebook and take some notes down, man, because these are every single one of these guys the Vikings will take in the NFL draft. But before we start the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications. Be sure to follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Boom or Bust Draft. You can follow all of us too at Chat_Maxwick for me, at Nick with Sports for Nick, and at Pick and Spreads for Donnie, who's also on TikTok. On YouTube, obviously, everywhere you get your podcast. So like and subscribe and also rate us 5 stars. Leave some questions. Maybe we'll get into a mailbag closer to the NFL draft. That could be a lot of fun. Check out the merch store below. And I'm proud to announce again that the new presenting sponsor of Boomer Bust Draft Show is WinView, which is the best thing to happen to sports since fantasy. Now, again, that might seem hyperbolic, but really it's not. I mean, I used WinView all the time during March Madness, and it is so much fun. Like, I'd probably be reading this ad read even if we weren't sponsored by them. That's how much I love WinView. They're the new way to bet on sports. You don't have to bet on spreads anymore. You don't have to bet on over-unders. You don't have to bet on money lines or player props. Literally just go on to WinView during a game even and say, hey, will this guy make a three-pointer on this next possession? Yes or no? And you can just bet on that. Will this next shot be a three-pointer? Yes or no? In the NFL, you can be like, oh, will this drive end in a touchdown? Yes or no? Usually, those kind of bets are only available during like the Super Bowl when every bet available is out there. WinView, you could do it on just a stupid regular season game. So it makes games so much more interesting. I lost so much because apparently I don't know anything about college basketball. And I was awful. In fact, the only time that I actually posted a WinView TikTok was when I was like, hey, take Houston tonight. And I like Arkansas plus the points. Both lows were dead wrong. And so I don't trust me with college basketball, but trust WinView because they are phenomenal. And if you don't want to bet money, you can play for free and enter cash prizes against other users. All you have to do is answer props before and during the game. It's so easy. All you have to do is to sign up is click the link in our description or in our pinned comment if you're looking at us on YouTube. So click the link in our description and deposit some money and start playing. Become part of the new way to bet on sports today.
So, actually, if you do want advice on gambling, I've never told these guys this, and not a lot of people do. Fun fact. So, my name on TikTok and on my platforms, go follow me. I appreciate it. Picking Spreads. A lot of people, where'd you get your name from? Actually, I was originally a gambling account, even though I was underage. Like, think about it. Just pick and spreads. I was a huge spread guy. So, if you ever want advice, hit me up on IG. I literally made my dad $2,000 in one Thanksgiving. Because he got every single what was it? He betted like 8 things and he got every single one of them right. So you need advice. I mean, hey, just hit me up on IG. I'm on there a lot at Pick and Spin. So yeah, I know you guys didn't know that, but yeah, I used to whenever I first created this, I was actually a gambling account.
We should do. I don't know what WinView's preparing for the draft, but we should do NFL draft like prop bets because there are a lot of prop bets out right now, including Trayvon Walker is the favorite to go number 2 overall, guys. God. Just preparing you guys for that. And hopefully we'll get our source PJ from the Lions in on it and see what they're actually thinking, but we don't know yet. All right, let's start. We've been talking enough. Let's talk about this interior offensive line class to start us off with our number 10 interior offensive lineman, Nick.
Yeah, so this is guard from Oklahoma, Maquis Hayes, who I think has been relatively under the radar in draft discussions. I haven't heard a whole lot about him, but I think the consensus on this guy is he is a low day 2, early day 3 guy. I think for most people, and even if not, a third round pick, like a lot of people have him as a 4th round guy. A reasonable consensus, draft pick at this point, a guy that will get drafted. Good size, 6'5", 318. I've listed that. My biggest concern for him going in was I thought he's going to do really poorly at the combine with testing, and he wasn't that bad. He's going to test out around the 63rd percentile, which is, it's not great, but it's better than I expected because this is very much a guy who I thought was technically more developed than most. I think his thing is that his hips are great hip fluidity, and he's got brilliant eyes, especially in pass protection. He's a little bit awkward. He's got a little awkwardness to his game because I think he just plays with a super wide base, and sometimes power can get to him. But with his hip fluidity in the run game, his ability, I think, to finish blocks, I wouldn't call him like the most powerful guy, but he's got a little bit of a mean streak to his game. He's got great balance in pass protection when he doesn't, let guys get inside of him, and he can, hold off on that power. And I think he plays well for a guy who doesn't have that amazing athleticism. I think he just keeps his eyes, scanning at all times, especially in pass protection. He is a guy to me that if you put him in a zone scheme immediately, is probably going to struggle, but in an assignment-based gap scheme right off the bat, I just think he's a guy that, hits his assignments every single time consistently. This is not a Pro Bowl player to me. I don't think he's going to be excellent, but he is a guy that I think could start day one. And for me, I think at the guard position, that is worth a late third-round pick, in my opinion.
So our number 9 interior offensive lineman in this class is kind of a legacy, and that is Alec Lindstrom, the center from Boston College, not the last Boston College that you hear on this episode. But I say legacy because his brother, Chris Lindstrom, actually was a first-round pick in the NFL draft back in 2019 from the Atlanta Falcons, and I believe he still is on the Atlanta Falcons right now. Yes, he is. And Alec Lindstrom is his younger brother at Boston College, and I really like him in the center class. A lot of people have this guy as like a mid to late day 3 pick right now. I think he could sneak into maybe that early day 3 conversation, like maybe a 3rd, 4th round pick even. I really like Alec Lindstrom a lot, and I know in this center class, and we're going to get to a center a lot later, who all of us, we literally did a video on a center. That's how much we love this guy. And that guy is basically like the number 1 in every single category. Like whatever category you have, he is number 1. However, I think there is an argument to be had for Alec Lindstrom to be better than that guy maybe in pass protection. Alec Lindstrom is very, very clean in pass protection. I don't think he is better than the guy who we're going to talk about a lot later, but it is close. And when you're even close to that guy, it's like around fucking Baltimore. It's Tyler Linderbaum. When you're even close to Tyler Linderbaum in any category, that's really good because we're going to talk about him in a little bit. Donnie's going to sing his praises as he always does really well. I really like Alec Lindstrom as a pass protector at the next level. He is so clean, and he tested out at the combine. Again, like Nick said, for his guy, Maquis Hayes, didn't expect him to be a good athlete. I did not expect Alec Lindstrom to test out as a good athlete. 84th percentile, man. Like, I was like, damn, all right, now we're talking for Alec Lindstrom. So as a pass protector, he's really good. He's a little undersized, but a really, really good athlete. Now, why is he not higher on this list? Because as a run blocker, he is not even close to Tyler Linderbaum. In fact, he might be on the below average, maybe even bad side as a run blocker. He's not a road grader in the run game. So it's going to be interesting at the next level. Maybe in a gap scheme, he could be a little bit better than in his zone scheme because I don't think he's as good on the move, even though he was better at the combine than I thought he'd be. But I think day one, he's a clean pass protector. He's got that bloodlines in Chris Lindstrom, who's a first-round pick. I don't think Alex should be a first-round pick, but I do think he could be a quality center down the line in the NFL, which is why I'm higher on him than I think than most people.
So up next on our list, we have Dohnovan West. Great name, by the way, but he spelled it wrong, so I'm not gonna comment on that too much. Dohnovan West from Arizona State. Kind of thought he was a tackle at first, but the more I watched him, I actually do think he's better at guard because didn't test amazingly at the combine. I was a little bit disappointed. I thought he would test in about maybe the 80s, tested in the 60s. I believe he was a 63% athlete. Not ideal. Also, I'll just focus on the negatives real quick. His best competition, he played worse in, which really does scare me because similar things happened with Wyatt Davis. The better competition he played, he just kind of no, he just wasn't really that good against the better competition, which scares me because when you're going up against the better competition, that's when you should be thriving at your best. Because unfortunately, whenever you get in the NFL, those are where the best competition is. Like, it's the best of the best. It's the National Football League. So not the greatest there. But then again, some offensive linemen have had that problem in the past, and they worked out okay. Also, his hand placement is horrible. it's all over the place. Like, sometimes he's too low, sometimes he's too wide, sometimes he's late, sometimes he's early, sometimes he doesn't even hit the chest and he just like hits like the ribs or something, or like maybe even the stomach, and I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing? But I will stop there with the negatives because I am being a bit mean on the guy, because I do like him. I still think he's about maybe late second, early third, somewhere around there. If you take him around there, I think that's fine. He's going to be great in a zone scheme. He's going to be fantastic in the zone scheme. Also, if you want to put him at tackle, I'm against it, but I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Like, I feel as comfortable as him playing tackle as like maybe Elijah Vera Tucker, and I did not want him to play tackle. And I know that seems like a bad example because a lot of people did want him to play tackle, but I did not. That's kind of how comfortable I am with him playing tackle. So if you did it, I'm not going to love it. But if it works, I mean, hey, congratulations. You made yourself a bit more extra money. I think he's very good, though, at just coming out of his stance. He's super quick with it, especially for a guard, which can be helpful also playing tackle. And I keep mentioning, like, I don't want him to play tackle, but I have a feeling some team is going to do it because I think he has the size to do it. So, and like I said, he didn't test amazingly at the combine, but he still has good mobility when he's on the field. I think he gets into the second level very swiftly. And I also think he's very good with handling speedy defensive tackles. And something that I do like for this interior class, and a couple of these guys have this problem, he's fine against power rushers, like those big, strong, huge D tackles. Like, he's fine against them, which I like because some of these guys in this class struggle with it. So at the end of the day, I do like Dohnovan West. Once again, great name, but spell it right, and then maybe I'll bump you up on my big board. But I do like him a lot. He's currently my IOL7 or 8, one or the other. I forgot, but he's currently around there. I do like him a lot. He's a late second round, maybe an early third round guy that you're going to take. He's going to use some development. He's not a great athlete, but he shows it on the field. He can be a starter down the line, but he's never going to be like a top 10 guard or anything.
Yeah, he played mostly center this year too, I think, for Arizona. He moved all across the line for them.
Yeah,
like he's a guy who played all. Yeah, he could play a lot.
Yeah, that's something I probably. I always miss one thing on my notes, man. I'm reading my notes off right here, and I literally.
No, you're good. No, I was just adding on. I was like, oh yeah.
No. It's not you. It's just literally the very first thing. It's in all caps, and it says versatility. Yeah. And I just. Yeah.
I know he played guard. I think he does have like close to tackle size. I don't know if he will, but like, he actually looked a lot better at center than he did at guard, I think, in my opinion. So yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm interested in that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. But no, I do think he's very solid. He's a late second or third round guy.
Next on our list is Dylan Parham, who's a guy who I kind of had put in the middle of the third round at one point and didn't really know what to make of him. So in my notes, my strengths for Dylan Parham is that I think he's an extremely smooth run blocker. He's not a guy that gives you a lot of power, but in terms of getting to the second level and just sealing, getting his hips around, guarding guys, blocking guys away from the running back, creating lanes, getting to the second level, has quick footwork, getting uphill, closing the gap between him and the linebacker. Extremely good. And then in pass pro, not a guy that I think has the best anchor I've ever seen, but he's extremely patient, scans, and is able to kind of just do the right things, at all times. He's not a guy who's going to blow assignments in pass protection, and I thought he held his own. The question marks that came in were competition level, because it's Memphis and they're playing in the American Athletic Conference. It's not excellent pass rushers that they're going up against. They did play Houston, who has always had some pretty good interior players, so that's some tape to go back and watch for sure. And the other things were, for one, the power I talked about wasn't there at all times. I think there were some effort issues at times, but the big things were size, a guy who was sub 300 pounds. And at that sub 300 pound weight, for me personally, I thought he was not a great athlete looking on tape. And that kind of made me wonder if he was even going to stick as a day 2 guy for me. Well, he comes into the Senior Bowl. He added the weight. He's up to 310 pounds. That's great. So that checks a mark right there. We're doing better there. And then he comes in the combine and he tests in the 90th percentile. So he's a much better athlete than I thought he would be. And personally, based on the tape, just watching him, not thinking he was a great athlete, going back, looking at it, and understanding the type of player he is, there is some type of quickness and agility involved in how he plays as a run blocker, how he's hit fluidity, becomes a seal blocker in the run game. A guy that I think can translate both to his zone or gap scheme. And I've knocked him back up to a late second round grade now because I do think that athleticism has translated to his game. It's something that I think I missed initially. And I think right now his biggest concern is probably just competition level. But as far as I can see with this guy, I think there's a lot of potential for him at the next level. I'd be wondering to see if he's going to add more weight even beyond what he already has. But I think that the combine for him has made him, or will eventually make him, a lot of money down the line here.
Okay, our number 6 interior offensive lineman is a guy that I am super high on. Now, I have him right now at IOL2 while you guys were talking. I've been looking at my board, listening to you guys, of course, still. But I've been looking at it, and maybe it was probably a little too high. Maybe I have him like IOL3 or maybe 4. But as of right now, IOL2, and that is Zach Tom. And I know there are a lot of guys in the draft that I am super high on, I guess, compared to the consensus, like Nick Benito for one, Sam Howell for another. Zach Tom is one of these guys. And I watch his tape, man, and I just fall in love. And the biggest thing that I love with Zach Tom's tape is his versatility. In that, we keep saying, oh, maybe this guy can play tackle, maybe this guy can play guard. Like, Zach Tom played left tackle for Wake Forest, which, by the way, had a very, very efficient offense this year. And one of the biggest reasons was Sam Hartman never had to worry about his blind side because Zach Tom was one of the best pass protectors in college football. In fact, if you look at his PFF grades, he is up there with the best of the best, man, among tackles and pass protection. He was fantastic in pass protection this year. I mean, this guy is just, his technique is so sound. His mirror ability is so good. He played a little center too, and he was really good there. And the issues with Zach Tom, he's not that great of a run blocker, but it's good enough, especially this season, where you got by on it. And I think Zach Tom really improved as a run blocker this year compared to other years. And he's been playing at Wake Forest and starting there for 3 years now. And is he an interior offensive lineman at the next level? Most likely. He's 6'4", 304 pounds, and doesn't have very long arms at all. But I do think there is some versatility that this guy can stick at tackle if need be, because he tested out as a 99.7th percentile athlete, which I never saw coming. I did not see that coming for Zach Tom. He was a guy who I thought, again, was going to be an okay athlete, but the tape was really where he won for me. And he went to the combine and was absolutely outstanding, 97th percentile when you look at just tackles. But again, his arm's about 33 inches, so a little bit lower than you want, but just at that threshold that you'd want at 33 inches. His pass protection is so good. His run blocking is whatever. I know for a lot of people, this guy is maybe like a day 3 pick, but for me, I might have this guy as a second round. I will have this guy as a second round pick just because of how good he was as a pass protector. So many of these guys, especially the ones that we'll get into in a little bit, they're so projection based. Zach Tom has got that ceiling with that athleticism, and he's got excellent tape as a pass blocker. Is he a mean guy in the run game? Absolutely not. He's not a great run blocker at all. But as a pass protector, you could stick the guy at tackle, guard, or even center. He could win at the next level. So I think Zach Tom is one of the most slept on prospects this year.
He gets walked back a lot. That's just all I'm going to say.
Pass protection?
In both.
I mean, all right. His power is not great, but look, man, he was so clean.
He was a lot better this year. He was a lot. This is one guy that I was actually, once again, because my friend is a huge Wake Forest. My friend is a huge Wake Forest fan. He was telling me about this guy last year, so I looked him up, and he was like, I mean, he's fine. He has no power, but whatever. And then this year he was a lot better. So yeah, he's definitely a top 5 IOL. I think I might be underrating him a little bit. Up next on this list, Jamaree Salyer? Is it Salyer?
Jamaree
Salyer. English is stupid, okay? English is dumb. Why? Just
You're
why?
Good.
Okay, but no, let's get to this guy. So, thick build. He's a pretty thick boy. 6'4", 320. Good build for a guard. Really good build for a guard, actually. Versatility. I'm going to mention it because I didn't mention it with Dohnovan West. Versatility. Played everywhere on that Georgia defensive line. He was everywhere. He was a tackle. He was a guard. He was a center. What is he in the NFL? I think he's a guard, and that's mainly because the combine was not his best friend. He did not test very well at the combine. I believe he was in the high 50s. I don't have it with me exactly right now, but
56.4, yeah.
Okay, I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll.
Nice.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a roll. So 56 percentile athlete, not ideal. Like, yeah, it's above average, but that doesn't mean like it's like great. Like it's not ideal, and it also doesn't show up in the tape. So like, for example, like Daniel Falele, like yeah, he didn't test that to a degree, but it still shows up on the tape. For him, it doesn't show up on the tape, which is a real concern, which is why I do think he is going to be playing guard in the NFL. Some of the other things I wrote down, pedigree, former 5-star recruit, which once again, I will continue to say, being 5-star gets you drafted. So, I mean, it happens. Like being 5-star gets you drafted. Like I've been saying, I wouldn't be shocked if Bo Nix gets drafted next year. So let's hope he doesn't, but who knows? We'll see. Also, something I've noticed, and I really, sorry. Something I've noticed and I really don't like it, he dips his head whenever he's in pass protection, which I really don't like because that can lead to serious concussion injuries because edge rushers or defensive tackles or whoever you go up against, they're going to exploit that and they're going to hit you in the head, which I really don't like. I don't want you getting hurt. I don't want you to get a concussion. So please try to lift your head up a bit more whenever you're in pass pro or in run blocking because it scares me. It really, really does. As someone who's gotten 2 major concussions in my life, and I actually quit football because of it, it's scary. Concussions are really, really scary because they can affect you long term. I had 2, and when I say this, I had 2 major concussions. One of them, actually, I got hit so hard, I opened my eyes and all I saw was black. Like, it's really, really scary. And I don't want that. I don't want anything to happen to him. Also, I feel like he's lazy with his steps. Like, maybe it's just me. I feel like he takes really short steps. And, I mean, yeah, it works in college, but fix it in the NFL. But that's something, like I said, it can easily be fixed. Most of these things can easily be fixed, except for the fact that he's not a great athlete. But I think he's fine in pass pro. I think he's a fine run blocker. My only concerns is please pick your head up because I don't want you to get concussed. And also fix your mechanics a little bit with your feet. Other than that, there's no really other questions with this guy. I think he's versatile, but he is a guard in the NFL.
Yeah, well, we had some discussion about if he was a guard or tackle. He did play well at tackle this year. I also am on the team of I think he will be better at guard. Moving on to another guy, Max also great. Another guy who I think we talked about a lot about tackle or guard, and I think a lot of people have settled on his guard, is our number 4 interior offensive lineman, is Kenyon Green from Texas A&M, who is coming off of a pretty disappointing combine, and one that will almost certainly knock him out of the first round, in my opinion. I think there were some people who had this guy listed as a potential top 15, top 10 pick. I never really saw that coming to fruition, and now I don't really see the top 32 thing coming to fruition. Let's talk about why. He was moved all over the place at Texas A&M. It's been talked about a lot how they didn't really help his development because week after week he was not playing the same position. And I think ultimately where he played best was probably left guard, which is probably the least valuable position, not just on the offensive line.
Shout out Quinn Nelson.
Potentially in an offense in general, if you want to have that debate with running back. His thing is really that he is an extremely, good at absorbing power. He's got good footwork. He has fast hands, scans well. It's technically pretty sound. Like, I think he is, a good player. He doesn't really have a mean streak. He's not a guy that's going to really move guys in the running game. He is a pass protection first guy, in my opinion, which is why there's a chance that he could end up playing some tackle. He though at times I think his hand placement, which is a little bit wide, can lead to holding calls. There are problems in his game. Like, he wasn't a clean prospect, I think, in looking at his tape, and then adding in the fact that he is a average athlete at that, it hurts him. And for me, that's going to make him kind of a late second round pick. I do think his size is intriguing. His versatility is intriguing. And I think some of the stuff you see in pass pro is advanced for a player at his point in his career. But it's there. The inconsistencies at Texas A&M concerns me going to the next level, where you're going to ask him to sit in one spot, and if he doesn't work, or you're going to then ask about moving him, and then you get the same issue going on again. And it's not like this is a guy who was dominating every week for Texas A&M either. There were some games that this guy had that weren't great. So there's just question marks, I think, and it's going to cause a lot of people to slip him down. I still like him because of the things I mentioned before, but not enough to take him in the first round. He is going to be probably out of the top 50 for me at this point, although I do think the versatility is intriguing enough that he will end up still going probably in the second round.
Yeah. Another guy who we also had like a discussion about whether or not we should list him in the tackles list, and I'm happy that you guys convinced me to list him in the guards because I agree with you after going back and watching his tape more.
I said he was a tackle, and I just want to say this real quick. I am 100% off that train after the combine. 100% off that train.
I haven't watched him in a very long time, and you know, when I was like, oh, we could play tackle, and Nick was like, I don't think so, and I was like, okay, let me go watch back. And
whenever me back like 2 months ago, I was on some different stuff. Like just like everything I said back then, just throw it out the window because all that should be irrelevant because I don't know what I was on. Like I don't know.
And I haven't even said his name yet. Darian Kinnard is who I'm talking about. The Kentucky offensive tackle who has to play guard at the next level. And it's interesting because, you know, the other guys who were like, oh, maybe he could play tackle, but most likely play guard. Like a lot of it is because of their size and, you know, and specifically their arm length. That is not the case for Darian Kinnard. This guy has that tackle size, 6'5", 322 pounds. Actually slimmed down a little bit at the combine. He was listed at 345 at Kentucky. He slimmed down at 322. And he also has 35-inch arms, which are like way above the threshold that you need to play tackle. The issues are, and especially when you go back and watch the tape, like his feet, man, he is so slow to mirror guys in pass protection. Very, very heavy on his feet. His pass protection technique is really bad. Like you got to rebuild that from the ground up probably with Darian Kinnard. So you want him more inside at guard because this guy is maybe one of the best run blockers, I would say, in the 2022 NFL draft. This guy is mean. He's got, I hate saying the first guy off the bus mentality. Like that is exactly what Darian Kinnard is. Like he is that guy, the Michael Oher blindside, where he's just going to throw you around and dive on top of you. And, you know, we wax poetic about that with Trevor Penning and Ikem Ekwonu. Well, Darian Kinnard is very, very similar and very fun to watch. Hate saying it, but he's a very fun to watch player in the run game because he is really, really good. And he didn't test amazingly at the combine, and the explosion numbers and the agility numbers were specifically really bad, which is why I think this guy has to play guard in the NFL because 58th percentile athlete as a guard, but you switch that over to offensive tackle and it's worse. He's a 39th percentile athlete at tackle. And so you just can't have that. So even though he's got the size and the length to play tackle, he's got to play guard at the next level. But his tape at Kentucky was really good, and he's been playing there for a while. He's just one of the best run blocking guards. I would say probably the best run blocking guard in this entire draft. So I am very, very excited about his prospects at guard. He's no longer a tackle on my board, which is going to lower him on my board, but he is probably like a mid-second round pick in my eyes.
Number 2 player on the board is that other Boston College guy that we were going to talk about, Zion Johnson, who's been shooting up boards. I think a lot of people have him as a first-round pick for sure now. I would bet on him going in the first round when all this is done. I don't know about top 15. You know, some people have him top. I've even seen some top 10. I don't know about that either. Brett Coleman, knock knock. Hey, what's up?
Love Brett.
Yeah, we love Brett.
Yeah,
he is. You know, you go back and watch the Dylan Parham thing again, because I'm basically just going to say I think Zion Johnson is a bigger, who played better competition Dylan Parham, which solves some of the problems that I had with Dylan Parham before this. Because here's a guy who has the requisite size for an NFL guard. His relative athletic score is going to be over 97 percentile. He was excellent at the combine. 40 time could have been a little bit better, but overall just an extremely balanced player. I think it's the same thing. I think he might not be as good in space as Dylan Parham. I think he struggles in space. I think he moves kind of like molasses in space. Not going to lie. I don't love him as a pulling guard, but I think overall, he is extremely clean in terms of what they ask him to do in an offense at Boston College. Again, I think this is a guy that's better in a gap scheme than a zone scheme. But I think in terms of getting his hips around, his fluidity in the phone booth, sealing off, creating lanes for running back, quickness to hit his assignments, and if you need to get to the second level, just sealing off at the second level as well, good enough in the run game. And then the pass pro, I think, is really where he is strong. I think because he played some tackle, you see it translate to guard, and you see that he's really kind of thought about it, I think, and changed and made that transition from tackle to guard and taken what he needs to take from playing tackle and make him a better pass pro player at guard. He's really good at sliding. I think he scans exceptionally well. He's extremely balanced. He kind of, One thing I like to watch with guys is how long they stay upright and straight, how long their base just stays the same without them moving their leg. They move their legs obviously to slide, but everything else I want to see stay still until they commit. And he does that extremely well, where his back and his hips, he's just kind of sitting on his butt and he's sliding, and then he commits to punching, the pass rusher. And I think he's very good at connecting with that initial punch, keeping guys locked down in pass pro, has a good anchor, stays extremely low, lower than even most guys at this level. I don't know that he, uses his athleticism, to the degree that you would want, kind of a pulling guard, a guy that you get in space, a guy who can maul. But he's not huge either. He's only 315 pounds, which is big enough to be an NFL guard. It's not as big as some of these other dominating guys, but I think this is a guy you stick on an offensive line, and he helps, any team with a young quarterback avoid getting pressure from up the middle for the next 10 years, and ultimately ends up being a late first-round pick for me on my grading scale now. Because of that, that combine really, I think, is going to end up vaulting him, just like with Parham, a round higher than I initially listed him in. I think he ends up going in the first round.
Tyler Linderbaum is the greatest center to ever breathe oxygen.
There it is.
Okay, so no, I just real quick, go watch the video on it. I'd imagine all of our thoughts are still the same on him. He's the best center prospect we probably have ever seen. Easily the second best IOL prospect since Quentin Nelson. Tyler Linderbaum is the most athletic offensive lineman we're talking about in this video. I do think it's close with oh my god, I'm bugging on his name. Oh my god, we just talked about it. Oh my god, no. The Wake Forest. Oh my God.
Oh, Zach Tom.
Zach Tom. Thank you, Zach Tom. I think him and Zach Tom are close, but I'd give the edge to Linderbaum. Linderbaum is the best pass protecting IOL in this draft, in my opinion, and I think he's probably the best run blocking as well. Graded as the highest D1 football player in college football last year. He has short arms. No, I do not care, because he played the second hardest conference and dominated it with ease. So, yeah, unless Jordan Davis is lining up in front of you, I think he's going to be fine. So, Tyler Linderbaum, in all seriousness, know that he is the best center prospect we probably have seen, maybe ever, maybe in a long time. I can't think of any that are in recent years, like Ryan Kelly, no. Who else?
Garrett Bradbury.
Oh, jeez.
Who's apparently now Linderbaum's comp. Now that he has short arms. Like, oh, he's gonna be Garrett Bradbury. Like, no, that's not how it works, buddy.
Thanks CBS, Bleacher Report, or whoever started that.
Gross.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad. But no, Linderbaum is a guy you're gonna throw on an offensive line day one, and he's gonna be a top 5 center in the league. Maybe he pulls the Creed Humphrey and he's the best center in the league right away. We can't throw that narrative out the window. Just like Kyle Hamilton, just throw him out there and you'll be fine. And I understand center is a position that doesn't really mean as much, but I do agree with Nick in the fact that it is more important than guard. I do agree, and I think the Philly offensive line kind of proved that right, I would say. So at the end of the day, he's not going to be a top 20 pick, which is really unfortunate. I think he should be. Maybe not top 10, but I do think he should be a top 20 pick at this point. But he's not going to be, which is unfortunate. So Linderbaum is a generational prospect in this draft. I only consider 2 players in this draft generational. It's Kyle Hamilton and it's Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah, I completely agree. And Matt Araiza, the punter. A lot of people love him, the San Diego State punter. Punt God, as he's called. Yeah,
punt God, and he tested well too.
He did.
Tested fantastically. Yeah.
I just want to bring this up because I'm kind of scrolling through draft history right now. I'm trying to find the highest picked center I can in recent memory. The 14th overall pick in the 1980-something draft was Steve Everett for the Browns. I've never heard of that guy before, so he might be good, actually, and I just don't know my centers history. Please don't get angry at me for not knowing my centers. All right, but the question, I think, here's a 12th overall pick in 1976, Pete Brock, Patriots. The question is, if this guy goes top 10, he's going to at least be the first tackle to go top 10 in half a century. I don't think we're heading in that direction, but it's just an interesting possibility in my opinion.
Yeah, I would take him top 10, but
there's no way he falls out of round 1.
No,
that'd be ridiculous.
Way if he falls out of round 1, that is, I would consider that one of the biggest.
That would be absurd.
I think if he falls out of the top 19 picks, it's a.
What's crazy? What's crazier, Linderbaum falling out of the first round or Justin Fields falling out of the top 10?
Linderbaum
falling
out of the first round. Yeah. Yeah, dude, Linderbaum's too good. Like, it's just like I don't care. I mean, we mentioned this in our.
Who cares? He has short arms. So does.
Yeah,
What's his name? So does Rashawn Slater. Who cares?
The issue.
Who cares?
Yeah.
The issue that I had, or not, I have with him.
Too.
Yeah, exactly.
And too.
The issue that I have is like some teams just don't need a center, and that's gonna wipe him off boards. Like, so there are only a certain amount of teams that could actually pick him. Whereas, like, we're talking about the guards and the tackles. Like, there are a lot of teams that need at least one tackle or at least one guard. There's only one center on the field, man. So Linderbaum, he could tumble down boards, which is going to suck because I love Tyler Linderbaum. I mean, at best, pure football player in this class is Tyler Linderbaum. Like, if you're just ranking based purely off how good they are, I think he's better than Hamilton. I think he's a better center than Kyle Hamilton as a safety, honestly. I think Linderbaum's that good. Like, I think it's tough, man.
It's hard to get better than Linderbaum at the center position.
It is. Like,
I could really draw up a better safety than Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah,
just make him bigger, and he runs a 4.3, and he maybe a little more on doesn't get injured. Like we could draw scenarios where there's a better safety than Kyle Hamilton. It's hard to do that with Linderbaum. I mean, Linderbaum has checked every box you could possibly have at the center position, and it makes it tough for anyone who is maybe a center in college or in high school and is watching this video and is thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to go play in college, go play in the NFL. I'm sorry. It's very unfortunate for your career, but the NFL, unfortunately, right now, not valuing positions like that at a rate that they're going to, take them high in the first round. Yeah.
The dream scenario, or at least the dream fit, is him to the Ravens. That would be hot. That would be perfect. That would be perfect.
I really.
You shouldn't, but they're going to. Like, I guarantee. Well, here's the question. Because this is a common thing. Jordan Davis or Tyler Linderbaum, in my opinion, one of them will be the 14th overall pick to the Ravens. Who do you think they're taking? And I guarantee
I don't think they're gonna take Davis.
You don't think so?
I think that's smoke.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I think they could even go receiver or corner. Not receiver.
I also have a sneaky suspicion that Jordan Davis is going to get taken by the Falcons just because.
Yeah, I can see
they're going to try and cater to the fan base.
I can see
he might be gone. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, the question to go back to Linderbaum, the question for you guys that I would ask you guys, and I think it's a good question to ask everyone for how high you would take Linderbaum is how high redo the 2021 draft. How high does Creed Humphrey go? Knowing what you know
pretty
now.
High.
Knowing what I know now, I mean, I would take him
like top 15. Probably.
What's a team? What's a team?
Insert Creed Humphrey right now into this draft. Where would you take him? Or I would take him. But last year, I would take him top 20, even with how good last year was. 20. Yeah. Like, and that's what Linderbaum is. Like, I think Linderbaum's a far better prospect than Creed Humphrey. And Creed Humphrey is the best center in the league this year. It's just like. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if you ask me right now, like, pick a center to start your team with, probably take Creed Humphrey first. But after that, like, I would probably take Tyler Linderbaum.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, you can't say that for a lot of other prospects coming out of college, like, where they're the second guy that you would take to start your team with at that position in the entire NFL. So, yeah, we love Tyler Linderbaum. That's basically all we got on this video. Of course, like and subscribe. Follow our Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at BoomerBustDraft. Click the link below to play with WinView. They are awesome. The tournament is winding down to a close, and you can start betting on baseball, start betting on NBA basketball. The playoffs are almost starting soon. Maybe some NFL draft prop bets. I might email our guy and be like, hey, can you guys get some on there? I need my fix right now. I feel like Dave Chappelle with the in that show, but I'm not going to say it because I feel like YouTube will probably censor this if I say what I'm talking about. But, yeah, so let's go. That's what we got for this video for the top 10 interior offensive linemen in the 2022 NFL Draft. So for Donny Clemons and Nick Merriam, I'm Max Chadwick. Have a great night.